Hello, today we're making wonderful flaky biscuits. We're going to start off with 600 grams of flour, all-purpose. We've got 12 grams of salt. We have 30 grams of granulated sugar. We have 24 grams of 24 grams of baking powder. We have 240 grams of unsalted butter and 360 grams of buttermilk. That's what we're going to use to make our flaky biscuits. So before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and put the butter and the buttermilk into the fridge for about 5 minutes to make sure it's nice and cold before we get going. Our next step is to go ahead and combine the dry ingredients. That includes the flour, the sugar, the baking powder, and the salt. Before sifting, I like to give it a little quick stir. And then to do this real easily, we do it over a parchment paper, and I'll show you why that's going to be nice here. It's okay if a little bit gets off the side. And then what we want to do is shaky, shaky, shake. And this makes sure to get all the lumps out of the flour, make it nice and smooth. Sometimes you'll note that there's a little bit of salt. The coarse salt that we used didn't make it through the mesh. That's okay, we just add it to the flour. And now the quick trick here is, it's real simple to do. We're going to go use that same bowl, and we're going to easily pick up our flour that's been in the parchment paper. We're going to pick it up and bring it right into the pot, the bowl. And there's our pre-sifted flour. So we're going to get ready for the next step. This is where we're going to take the chilled butter that we cubed and has been in the refrigerator for 5 minutes, and we're going to work it into the dough here until we get like a pea-like consistency, and we'll show you what that looks like in a bit. But let's go ahead and get our place organized. Let's go ahead and remove this tray. We won't need it right now. And we want a nice clean working surface here. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes and our butter has chilled nicely, so we're going to go ahead and add the butter to the flour mixture as such. And you can do this with your hand if you like, but I prefer to use a pastry cutter such as this one right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to work this dough and the flour and the butter together until we get a consistency of pea oatmeal size flakes of butter that is incorporated into the flour. By doing this, you're going to make sure you have a nice, tender, flaky, fluffy biscuit. If you don't do this step properly, you may end up with dense, heavy biscuits, and you don't want that. So we want to do this. So this is going to take me a few moments, and we'll be right back when it's done. All right, when I get to the stage where I'm actually going to be working with the dough, I like to put on latex gloves. Now, as you can see, we've gotten the butter to pretty good, close to pea size here. Looks pretty good, and if you squeeze it, you should come together just slightly, which is what we want. Remember, we're going for nice flaky biscuit. We'll just give it a little bit more. There, I think we got there. All right. So also, what you always want to remember to do before you get to the next step, go ahead and clean up your station here a little bit. You want to make sure everything's nice and clean for the next step. Clean as we go makes it go a lot easier. Okay, now we're going to do the next step, which is add the chilled buttermilk into the flour butter mixture. We're going to put a nice well in there to start. And we're going to go ahead and pour in our buttermilk. I do have a little bit reserved in case we need it. And I like to make sure we get all that buttermilk. Then what we're going to do is we're going to gently bring this dough together with a large spatula. Okay, as you can see, the dough and the buttermilk is starting to come together. It's important. We don't want to overwork this. We just want to bring it together. Let's see how we got this. So kind of got it. I'm going to put a little bit in my hands here just to help bring it along. Yeah, it's coming along just fine. That's pretty much what we want right there. Again, we don't want to overwork it. We're looking for flaky biscuits. All right, our next step, we're going to roll this out and we're going to form our biscuits, but as always, we like to clean up in between. So for this, I'm going to use a big cutting board right here. And we're going to kind of put a little bit of flour on my board so that we keep this sticking to a minimum. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our little dough scraper here, and we're going to work this dough out onto the board. And we're going to work this dough a lot more on the board. Okay. Just take your time with this. This is the part everybody gets a little worried about because it doesn't feel like it's going to come together, but it will. I'm going to add a little more buttermilk, I think. Buttermilk is a great addition to this. It's nice and acidy. Makes these biscuits extra special. Okay, it's starting to come together nice here. Okay, now we need to roll it out. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more flour to keep it from sticking on the rolling pin. Again, take your time with this. We're looking at about a 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch. All right, the next great important step, and this is what's going to ensure that you have nice flaky layered biscuits, is to go ahead and roll over your dough like such. Just use this bench scraper out. And what you're doing there is you're creating nice layers. And once we got that together, we're gonna roll some more. Let's get that loose stuff here that'll get incorporated. I like to give it a nice shape so that when we roll it out, it comes into a nice shape. So we're looking to roll this baby out. So what I'm gonna do here is I just wanna off my rolling pin. Get a little more flour. And now we're going to roll it out. We're looking for 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch. Alright, we're almost getting there. Almost there. I'd say that's just about right. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and cut our into squares. Give me 1 second. All right, for this step, I like to use a pizza cutter. First, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and square off. And don't worry, we're going to use that dough. All right. Now what we're going to do, I think we're going to get Yeah, we're just gonna go straight on down here. Straight down here. And then we're gonna go, I think we cut these into thirds as well. I like nice big biscuits. We'll do a couple small ones here, just for fun. All right, our next step, we want to get a cooking sheet and spray it with some nonstick and add a piece of parchment paper on there, and then we'll get going. All right, we made a little bit of a mess here, so we want to make sure we clean everything up. Clean as we go. I turn on my oven to 425. That's what we want to preheat it to. All right, here's my parchment paper lined cookie tray. Now what we're going to go ahead and do, use our bench scraper to help out here. We're just going to put these on the tray. Should be able to fit 3 across. Got some smaller ones here. All right, now before I pop these in the oven, I want to make sure I chill this dough one more time, because that's going to help the butter incorporate into the biscuit and make it all that much more flaky when it's nice and chilled. So into the refrigerator for about 5. So those leftover trimmings, I'm going to roll these out. Now these probably won't be nice and flaky as the other ones, because I had to rework the dough a little bit more, but that's okay. We don't want to waste it. Little trim. Since these are the extra ones, they don't have to be too pretty. And there. Onto our baking sheet. So 2 batches, almost. And then just for giggles, we're going to take this leftover and make it a hot mess to see the difference of how it comes out when it's really overworked. All right, it's almost been about 5 minutes, about ready to pop those biscuits into the oven. We're going to cook them about 20 to 25 minutes until they rose up and nice and golden brown. What I like to do is, since we're all done with the cooking, we're going to clean our counter with some nice sanitizing Clorox, so we have everything clean and ready to go for the next project. All right, we can go get those biscuits out of the fridge. The biscuits have chilled up nicely, so we're going to go ahead and pop them into the 425-degree oven. And we like to do it in the center of your oven because that cooks the most evenly. And here we go. Here goes one. Here goes the other. See you in 20-25 minutes. All right, so it's been about 23 minutes. Let's check them out. Oh boy. Look at those. Those look great. Get the other one out. Look at those beauties. All right, we're gonna let these cool for a little bit, and then we're gonna plate them, give them a try, and then we're done. Let's have one last look here. Is it cool? Look at those layers. All right, here's the finished product. They're slightly cooled. Let's go ahead and pick one up and look at those layers in there. Beautiful. Now if we break it open, look at that. Oh, look at how flaky that is. Of course. Now we have to give them a try. Put a little butter. Yeah. A little bit of blackberry jam. Wonderfully flaky. Nice crisp outer shell. Buttery flavor throughout. The texture's not too dense at all. I think these are a success.